There you are. Caught me again, playing with the trains. Name's David Mays, your host for this edition of Along the Model Railroad Line. We're going to talk about the fun you have playing with trains. And of course, I'm having some fun. I'm hoping you're having some fun too. Working on a project where I'm applying decals. These are some of these kits I have. What's called water slide decals. I've collected these car or kits over the years. A lot of these are lettered for other model railroads offered by various clubs around the country. This one it's a letter for the Omaha or the Overland Western, and then you got here the Schuylkill Valley. I hope I pronounced that right. And well, these clubs will do is they'll offer the cars, completely lettered, but made to leave the car number off so you can apply your own. And of course, they will, supply decals that you can use, or if you had to, you probably go provide your own. And I figure what I'll do with this video is I'll show you how to apply water slide decals. Maybe you got them like I say, got them all where you need, like this, where you just need to add the number to it. Maybe you're got a kit that you're building that comes with decals, but otherwise needs to be painted and lettered. Or, like I said, there's various companies offer decals for different, different railroads, different businesses, things like that. And maybe you just need to change a number or want to do a complete redo, of the car that you're building or a locomotive. Or like I said, maybe you got a locomotive like this that needs to have some numbers and a name applied to it, things like that. And again, do that using water slide decals. And again, there's various companies that offer for these decals for different lettering. And like I said, we'll just take a few minutes in this video and again show you how to apply the decals. Anyway, it's not that hard to do. Can be a little fiddly at times, but like I said, I'll kind of show you how I do it and maybe see if they'll help you. Like I said, applying decals to your own model. So with that, I invite you to climb aboard. We'll take another trip along the Model Railroad line. And like I said, I'll show you how you can apply letters to your own freight cars. Alrighty. Like I said, what I'm going to do here with this show, going to be showing you how you can apply decals to a model. In this case, I'm going to be applying decals to one of these refrigerator cars or reefers. Quick story about the reefers. They're both half-turn models, like they're 40-foot refrigerator cars. They're custom painted for the Schuylkill Valley Railroad, which is, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. That is the model railroad of the Schuylkill Valley Model Railroad Club. And check computer over in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, which is apparently a town somewhere near Philadelphia. Like I said, these are apparently some cars the club commissioned, commemorating some event, whatever. Don't really know the history of it. But, I get these off eBay. Apparently, it's actually 2 of 3 cars they produced. Actually, they're nice enough to include some instructions here for information. And, got the drawing right there. Apparently, like I said, my assumption is they produced 3 cars in 3 different paint schemes. The paint indicating what service the car is used in. In this case, I got one that's orange, another one is yellow. Apparently, the yellow car is used for meat service. Carrying meat products, whereas the orange is, maybe produce and general service. And then apparently they're supposed to have cars that are painted white, which is supposed to be for dairy service. But got these cars off eBay, and the way they did it, the cars are completely lettered except for the car numbers. They got the initials right there. Here, you kind of move the camera, a little closer. There you go, like that. Like that, they got place there the initials. This is SV for the Schuylkill Valley, but they don't have a car number. Instead, they include decals they can use to apply them yourself. So go ahead and open those. Get these out of here. All right, like I already lettered one of these cars. Like I say, they come with little strips, decals. Here, go and pull those out. They got all the numbers right there. Like that. Okay. Just dump those out. And the idea is you can apply your own lettering, your own numbers, kind of decide whatever car number you want the car to be. Again, on the instruction here, it actually includes some numbers that these cars, if they exist in real life, they were in this number series. And apparently, the yellow or meat service cars are supposed to be, series 12-225 through 12-499, and the other orange car would be, 12-500 through 12-774. So, like I went already decaled this one. I went ahead and just more or less number at random within what they're saying here in the instructions. So I'm number 12490. And this car, I'll go ahead and use letter it or number it in the series they have here. And actually, this thing came with a complete set of decals right there, but I'll go ahead and use these decals, just use them up and just save those for something else. So it'll still be 12. So when I look at the numbers, I'll probably go like something like, I don't know, I got here 44, 555, 666, so on. I mean, call it number, 556 or something. Okay. And just drop those in there for right now. And before I get started, let me kind of show you real quick what I'm doing here. Tools I'll be needing. Got Now, first thing about when you're applying decals to models is to make sure that you got actually kind of a glossy finish on the paint. These two cars, just as they come out of the box, they're ready to go. And the idea is the glossy surface allows the decal to snuggle down better, to stick better. I kind of give you a couple examples. Here's a couple other club cars I've collected, but they need to have numbers put on them too. This car is laid for the Fever River Railroad. And again, it's a club layout somewhere in Illinois. And again, it's custom layered card, but got the reporting marks, and actually got some of the numbers already on here, but I got to add 2 more numbers. And again, their instructions come with get an idea what series they're in. But like I said, it's already got a natural glossy finish. And again, that's what you need when you're applying decals. As opposed to this car, which is for the Omaha Western lines. Again, another club. Now this is Athearn, custom letter. This happens to be Accurail, again, custom letter. But in this case, it's got a kind of a dull finish, which is fine, say, for the finished product. But if I try to apply the decals to that, there's a possibility that you get this sort of strange effect where the decal is not transparent. You can kind of may see a little teeny tiny bubbles underneath it, and that's the idea. You got this rough, dull surface. You try to apply the decal, and air will get caught under it. So end up the lettering will kind of look dull, kind of weird looking. So before I letter this car, I'm going to need to go back and spray it with something like what's called gloss coat or some other clear, glossy finish. Again, to give that surface so the decals will stick. Whereas this car is basically ready to be decaled. And then, of course, once the decals are applied, go back and apply some sort of a dull finish to help seal the decals. And tools I'll be needing, obviously, need the decals. Like I said, they're nice enough to provide those already. I mean, this car over here, the Fever River car, doesn't have any decals with it. I got some other kits that are like that, custom lettered, and they got the initials, but no numbers, so I got to come up with no. Whereas these folks are nice enough to provide some decals here, so that's covered. But tools, a little something to hold water in. These are so-called water slide decals. The idea is I'll cut the numbers out of here and drop them in the water and let the water soak off with the backing that's on there. And so also want a good sharp knife. In this case, X-Acto number 11. It doesn't have to be the newest blade in the package, but you still want it to be pretty new. So again, go and cut through the paper and all like that. A couple other tools handy. A pair of tweezers are good. And if you want, probably some sort of a straight edge, so we can kind of get the things line up here. So if you're careful about it, you can do it by eye. And also, some sort of decal setting solution. This is Solvaset, marketed by Walthers. Walthers used to actually market their own decals. I don't think they do that anymore, but they still sell this. I mean, this bottle, I've had this a while. A little bit will go a long way, but they still make it. Again, I like working with it. There's other companies, other products people like to use for working with the decals. I just seem too good with the Solvaset. That's what I do. And last but not least, some sort of a fine brush, because what you're going to be doing is, take the decal, place it on the model, ideally let it dry, or just thing you can do if there's any water underneath there, which I'll show that later. Dab that off, and then come back with the Solvaset and just dip it in there and carefully apply it to the decal so it flows underneath the decal. So that's what I'm going to be showing you here in a minute. actually, not that hard to do. May require a little bit of patience because you're having to deal with some little piddly things here. Oh, another tool. Here, move the camera back a bit. Some sort of magnifying device would be helpful. This, just fit this over your head. Just look through the lens right there, or you can use some kind of magnifying glass mounted in some sort of frame. But the idea is, a lot of us, eyes aren't as good as it used to be, or even if your eyes are great, you're still having to look at some really fine detail there, figure out what's going on. So, give me a second. Let's do a couple of things, and I'll show you how to actually do this. Do one. All right, look like everything's working. Let's go and get started here. Got my little thing here, a little container of water in it. Gonna set that there. It's got knives and other things there. It's gonna just move in the lens just a little bit. There you go. Make sure that everything's in focus. So first thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna be putting decals on this car, the orange reefer. First thing to do is I get the actual decals out. So I'm gonna use up set here from the first car. I got 2 sets there. And hold on, yeah. And kind of fish that out. Here's where the tweezers come in. There, it's right there. There we go. Got that. We'll just set that aside for now. Like I said, the instruction came with the car. Talk about the number series. Starting out with number 12. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the 12s out one of these sets of decals and put it in the water and let it be soaking. And like I said, this is the produce service car. Put that aside for right now. I have planned to use a certain number, but I'm looking at these decals here. I got these 2 perfectly good 00s. I might just go and use that kind of number the car, like, let's see, probably number 12600, maybe something like that. All right, you can 12700. Hey, that would work. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. First thing I do is going to, again, move the lens a little closer. You can see what's going on. There you go. First off, I'm going to cut out, not sure how well that shows up, but you got the number, a whole bunch of numbers there. Basically 12, 111, 2222, 333, just all kinds of numbers there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and count out, there's 2 sets of, 2 rows of numbers here. So I'm going to go ahead and count out the number 12 of them so I can do both sides of the car. It's going to take my glasses off for a minute and substitute the magnifying device here. Here's move that back and see that. Yeah, wear that instead. Make it easier to see what I'm doing. Okay. Grab this. Basically, what I'm going to be doing is use a sharp knife. Got a little cutting pad here that I like to use. You don't absolutely have to use one of these straight edges, but it does help. So I'm just going to put that down there on the number here. Move over here, it's easier to see. Move those out of the way for right now. Kind of get it where it lines up with the back side of 12. Like that. Hopefully my head's not in the way. There you go. And you kind of move this over just a little bit. Here we go. I get everything. Here we go. Get this where it's comfortable for me to work on. Move the camera a little bit so you can see what's going on. There you go. And just get that little straight edge right there. Just kind of get it lined up. Kind of get as close as you can to the number while still leaving a little bit of space for the knife blade to be able to get through there. So the idea is, you got the number, and it's surrounded, by a film, decal film, and ideally, you want to cut as close as you can, so you minimize the amount of film on there, since doesn't really do anything other than hold the numbers in place. I mean, I've known people who go in there, like say with these zeros here, they go in there, actually cut the film out inside the zero. It's like, right now to me, that's a lot of extra work for what I actually get from it. So this will work. So again, just kind of do like that, just kind of slice, just start pulling the knife across, kind of gentle cuts, don't have to go through all at one time. So a few light cuts will get through. There you go, got that loose. Now these numbers, going to set them aside for future projects. Here, there we go, just drop that back in the box. Now, same thing here. Get in there close. Okay. There we go. Hold that down. And again, just a few gentle swipes through with the knife. There you go. A little piece, just pick that up, just kind of set it aside. I'll just end up trash, nothing else can do with it. So I'm going to turn this around. Try and cut as close as I can right there. That's number 12. Can move that there. And I'll make sure you can see everything. Here you go. Do like that. Again, just try to get as close as I can to the actual numbers without slicing into the numbers, and still have space for the knife blade to come through. There you go. And the little piece, just throw it away. And kind of flip that back over. And what I'm trying to do now is I got two 12s right there, so I'm going to slice between them now. Got to get as close as I can. And get in there close. As I say, just get as close as you can and still be comfortable with it. And oop, trying to move. Here's get that in place. Okay. Get that straight edge back down on there. Get my head out of the way. Again, push down and make sure it doesn't move. There you go. And just a bunch of little mini cuts. Don't have not any one big. There you go. Got that loose. Now I can see there's still a little bit of film just above the number, so I just see him get in there. Slice that off. And if you can see that. There you go. At the same time, if it don't work, very good. Okay, pardon my head. That like that. Get that on there. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay. Can hold it down. Let's slice through there. There, do something different here. Got this little chisel blade. Should be able to use that. It's not particularly sharp, but should work. Gonna use this paintbrush here. Just hold that down. There we go. Gonna get right in there next to the number, but still just leaving a little bit white above it. Then just press down on it. There we go. Just get rid of that little piece there on the top. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now, put the knives aside. Get my little tray of water. Here, blend it back a bit. There you go. Just pick it up. Just sticks in my tip of my finger. Got just a little bit of moisture on my finger, and then just drop that in the water. Oh, there, it's still there. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is just going to let that float around, soak for a little bit. Let the backing come off. Some decals instructions talk about, once the backing comes off, I'm going to take the decal out. I personally like to just let it in there, just let soak as long as it needs to. The little bit of glue that's still on the decal film will come off, but ultimately we don't really need it. Just need to get the backing off. And since I got the other number here, just go and drop it into here. Try and pick it up with tweezers. There you go. All right. There you go. Just pick it up, finger, and just flick it in there. Okay. I'm gonna put that aside for right now. I'm gonna cut out the next batch of decals. And again, the number series for this car starts at 12,500. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go and cut out a couple of, I'm going to go, I think, those originals I had, I'll use up those too. I'm going to save those for later. I'm going to go and do the original number. Going to go with number 566, okay? That'll work. Again, same thing as our earlier. Got the numbers 566 there in a row. That'll actually save some work. Otherwise, I said, want a different number, I had to cut out each individual numbers. And there's always a possibility somewhere in the world somebody has one of these kits and they lettered it, put the numbers 566 on their car. But in the larger scheme of things, it's like, whatever. I doubt anybody's going to honestly, come back, see this video, and come back and say, you got my car number. Give it back. So I don't think that's really going to be a problem. I'll just slice through. There you go. And the rest of those decals, just set them aside and save them for something else. And then come over here, set 566. Okay. Come down here, past the 66. Pardon me if my head's in the way. Here, come shift that over. There we go. Make sure everything is lined up. And then again, just cut through. There we go. And the rest of the numbers, just set those aside. I can use those on some other project. I'm going to do here again, same thing as earlier. Going to trim off some of the excess, backing, excess decal material. Get in there close as I can and still be able to see what I'm doing. And just looking at these numbers, I'm looking at it upside down, but the 6 now looks like a 9. So again, if you ever need to do decal work and you run out of 6s or 9s, you probably use the, take where you have left over and flip it over. There we go. Got rid of that. Just get rid of that little piece. Set it aside. Trash can. Flip this around. And try and cut off a little bit of excess on here on this edge. Yeah. Make sure you can see that. Yeah. There we go. Same thing, kind of get in close, push down on the straight edge, make sure it's holding the decal down, because while I'm slicing through it, it may try to move. There you go. All right. Get rid of that excess. Then go ahead and separate these two. Like I said, you got two sets of numbers, same number, just one on top of the other. Let's go ahead and do this. Kind of get there, in close. There you go. Let's kind of move the camera just a bit. There we go. Eyeballing it. And push down on the straight edge. And just gently cut through the decal material. Okay, now that's ready to go in the water. Then you can just push down, pick it up with a knife edge, like that. And there you go, just drop that in. There we go. And the other one, again, let's try and cut off a little bit of excess, and it'll go into the water also. Okay. And make sure you can see that. Yeah. There we go. Same thing, kind of get up here as close as you can. Again, having these magnifier lens, magnifier on, thing on like that, that definitely is a big help. Just gentle cut. There we go. And it's also good, having this cutting pad here. You can kind of cut through it, and knife will go into this, but like this real soft material. And it's easier to place as opposed to the top of your table. Just poke that with a knife again, bring the water over. Like that. Here, okay. There you go. Drop that in. There we go. So move some of this stuff out of the way. And if you can tell, you already got some decals just floating around in here without the backing on there. That's what we want. And again, if I had to, take a little break here, let those soak some more. Just get fishing, look, reaching to just pull those pieces of paper out, like that. There we go. Like that. There we go. There, that's just trash. Just set it aside somewhere, drop in the trash can later. Okay. Again, I'll give that a couple minutes to soak. So take a little quick break and be right back. Okay. We're back. Go ahead and show you what we're going to do now. We're going to go and take these decals and apply them to this freight car. Just going to move this out of the way a second. Grab this, set this out. That'll definitely come in handy for applying the decals. A little cradle, foam rubber cradle. Had this thing for years, but it's definitely very handy. The company called Bowser makes these. They're still available. Forget the exact price, but $10 or $15. Or if you had to, you could probably make your own. But again, this is real handy because the idea is take this car out of its box, set it right there, keeps it steady, make it easy to work on. There you go. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to apply the decals. Now, kind of while we're off camera, I did take a paper towel with just a little bit of alcohol on it, rubbing alcohol, and just wiped it across the surface to make sure there wasn't any finger grease or anything else on there. And clean that up. I would say do be careful if you're doing something like that on a model. Alcohol can affect the paint. Some people like to use rubbing alcohol as paint remover. And wipe this off. It's only a couple of swipes, but I can still look at the paper towel and see there's just a little bit of color coming on the paper towel now coming from the car side. So just a quick swipe, just wipe it off and it should be fine. So what we're going to do now is, let's see, got our little container with the decals in it. Just set that there, off camera. Tools we'll need, a little paintbrush, fine point, tweezers, and the knife will be helpful. If you want, also again use the straight edge here. Use that little L square. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here, got the decals floating around here in this water. They've been in there a few minutes. Well, long enough time for the glue kind of work, soak off. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start out, following the instructions that came with the cars. We got a drawing here showing how the various layering goes, and basically we're interested in the numbers for the reporting marks. And it does have instructions here about other decals I could add later using aftermarket products. But, this car is, I like it the way it is. I like to just give it its own unique number. Now, what I'm going to do here, move that over, move that there. Now just fish around. Got the little number 12 here. I just picked it up with the brush. There we go. That's sticking to the brush now. There's the got move the camera in a little closer. There we go. Okay, move that out of the way. Move this over here. There we go. Yeah. Get in a little closer. There we go. Make sure you can see it. There you go. There you go. And here. There you go. Yeah. Okay, got the decal sticking to the paintbrush. There's where I want to put it. I got the initials SV for Schuylkill Valley and the two lines there. A lot of freight cars, paint schemes had these little lines on there. Just kind of, in this case, helps figure out where to put the number. And it's also just, style thing. So just turn that over. Just kind of set it on there. There you go, like that. And it just comes right off the brush. And now we use the brush to help kind of move it around. What I'm going to do is I'm trying to get where it lines up with the letters are already there and be about the same space apart. Yeah, kind of turn that like that. Get in here close so you can see what's going on. The decal still has some water under it, which is what makes it easy to move it around. You just use the paintbrush, kind of just poke it around to get it to line up. And there you go. Looking at it, let's see, kind of poke a little bit there. That's where these magnifying lenses come in handy. Okay. Now right now I got a position I like, and not sure how well that show up on the camera. But again, it's about equal spacing from the letters are already there. Now what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna give that a minute to dry. And grab a paper towel here and just wipe the brush off. Now you just sit here and wait for it, or if you're careful, again, take the same paintbrush, make sure the paintbrush is dry, and just get in here close and poke it up against the decal very carefully. It'll help draw some of that water off. Because ideally, you want it to be completely dry. A little bit of moisture probably won't hurt anything. Again, just make sure. This is where it's just go and take your time, get it to line up. And here, so you can get in here again, just so you can move it over just a hair. There you go. And pardon me if my head's in the way. This is where, again, the magnifier is a big help. Look in here close. This is probably the hardest part to do. Just get everything to line up. So let me see. It's easy to overdo it. Okay. And just carefully brush across the decal, help it to move. Okay, you can poke it there. Like I said, it's real easy to poke at this and get it out of line. So just take your time. And, okay. And again, this is where use a little square comes in handy. Get in here, see how well it lines up. Not perfect, but it's actually pretty close. Yeah. Again, just may push on this side just a little bitty bit. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Do that. Okay. The water's kind of evaporating, so the decal is kind of sticking to the surface. I mean, practical purposes, close enough. I mean, there. Use the car already decaled as example. And there. What I'm going to dip the brush in some of the water. We're using soap with decals in. Just put that along the edge of the decal so it kind of creeps in underneath the decal, and that'll make it easier to move it. Just want to move it over just a hair. I just push that around like that. Just push on. There we go. Just a tiny bump. Okay. To me, it still looks just a bit crooked, but in practice, it's so close. There you go. And this is perhaps the hardest part of applying decals, especially your numbers or letters. Now get everything to line up. But generally speaking, if it looks good in the eye, it's probably good enough. Yeah, and try to get it to move. There, just a dab a bit more water. There we go. Nope. Again, easy to overcompensate here. Oh, do that. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. a bit more, a bit more. Okay. Okay, there we go. Just a little more. Keep cooking till I get it where I want again. A little more water on the brush. Don't need a lot. Get it a little bit underneath the decal so it kind of floats, makes it a little easier to move around. Okay, we're getting there. All right, just starting to line up and just hook it. All right. Okay, good enough. Got it where I want it. Okay. Now, next thing, using the same brush. Let's see. Okay. And get our decal setting solution. Like I said, in this case, I'm using what's called diasol. Get the camera to focus here a second. There you go. There you go. It's made by Walters. I mean, I've had this ball for a while. Like I said, a little bit will go a long way. So let's talk about the beginning of the program. There you go. Okay. So what I'm going to do, again, using the fine brush. I think sometimes diasol does used to come with a brush built in, but honestly, a fine brush like this is a better choice. Yeah, because again, it's like what I was doing here, trying to get that decal move around. Got to be gentle with it. We'll just open that up. Just get that in there. There you go. Set that aside. Put the cap back on it. And again, get in here close. What I want to do is we're going to put a little dab of the diasol not on the decal, but next to the decal. Okay. That's it. Just kind of touch it on there. Don't want to touch the decal directly, but kind of push there. And then what I have to get this little drop right there. Touches the mall, and then it starts to spread out and touch the decal, and then it starts to flow under the decal. Capillary action. And in case you got too much there, it's got a kind of big drop there, just kind of, wipe the brush off on the paper towel and then go back and dab it in that little drop there, and that'll draw some of that off. There you go. There you go. And carefully go around to the other side of the decal and put a little dab there. Yeah, not touching the decal directly, but kind of next to the decal, so you get a little bead forming, and the bead will touch, that bead of fluid will touch the decal, and it'll flow underneath it. And what the solvent is doing is softening the decal just a little bit, so it'll up here, it will stick to the surface of the model. Again, I got a lot here. Let's see, let's get in here again. Just take off, use the brush, soak up some of that excess, and you kind of just spread it around. Again, paper towel, get rid of any excess. And at this point, probably the most important thing now is just let it go. Don't touch it. Give it a chance to set up. So what we're going to do is just stop for a second. Again, give the decal setting solution a chance to dry, and then we'll come back and do the rest of the decals. Okay, we're back. Let's pick up where we left off. Let's kind of move the camera in. See what's going on. There we go. And let's see, let's do that. Okay, there we go. Okay, Rachel took a little break, gave the decal here a chance to dry. And what we're going to do now, kind of take a closer look at it. My magnifying glass. Worked pretty good. I can see it made a little mark there where it made some of the decal isn't quite sticking down, but easy way to fix that. Again, get some of the diasol. Dip the brush in that. Put the cap back on. Careful about that. Come back here and just dab a little bit there right on the edge. There you go. Just a little bit. You can kind of put a little more over the decal. Kind of help it snuggle down. Real easy to do. Now let that set up. And paper towel, wipe the brush off. In the meantime, while that's drying, it should only take a few seconds for that to set up. We can go and get the rest of the decals out. There you go. Grab my handy tweezers. Put this back just the camera. There you go. I got my little dish with water in it, the decals floating around in it. So put this down here. There we go. Reach in there. I got the other decals floating around. There you go. Just grab that. Number 566. There you go. Put that aside. Bring the model over. We'll just set that down on next to the numbers already there. Tweezers aside. And again, we use the brush to help move it around and take up some of the excess water. This decal, got 3 digits here to play with. A little longer, should be a little easier to move around. Let's see. Poke this in a little closer. There we go. Like that. And just kind of get in here. Carefully line everything up. Just like we did earlier. And of course, I got 3 numbers here in a row on the same piece of decal film. Make it a little easier to use, a little less cutting. So if you was doing just one number, it'd be just same thing. Kind of get that lined up. Okay, and move it. To me, they're too close together. And here, sometimes you push down the brush with. There you go. Moved it too far, and let's kind of move it back into place. Again, that's what I was saying earlier. Anyway, this is probably the hardest part of doing this. Kind of get everything to line up. Be very piddly. And there you go. All right, almost there. And just using the brush kind of help move it around. And kind of look at it. There you kind of look at it from the end here. There you go. And so kind of look at it from the end like that. Make sure everything lines up. Actually looks pretty good. Okay. Focus back in. There you go. And again, kind of giving that, waiting for the water to evaporate. Now apparently with Decals, if for some reason it's too strong for the decal, you may get some old decals, kind of easy for them to break apart, or maybe there's some decals that film is a little thinner than others. Apparently you can take the Decals and again just water it down a little bit with water, obviously, get something that's not quite as strong. So my experience so far, the Decals straight out of the ball seems to work just fine. Again, give that little bit of water chance to dry. Here, see a little bits right on top of you. If I'm careful about it, I can use the brush to take up some of that moisture. There you go. Yeah, wipe off the brush. Okay. And make sure everything lines up. Again, just look at it. Look at it from the end. There you go. All right, just kind of look at it from the end here. There you go. And I can see it's slightly out of alignment, so here, just take a second, bump that a little bit so you can get it to move. Okay. There we go. That's probably as perfect I'm going to get it and still look decent. All right. There we go. Do it like that. And move the camera. There you go. So next thing, like I did earlier, take the Decals, get a little, dip the brush in there, put the lid back on, at least where it says that, and again, get in here close and Using the brush, deposit a little drop of Decals, not on the decal, but next to the decal. And then once the drop itself should touch the decal, and again, it'll just flow underneath it on its own. Don't need to do anything else. Just give it a chance to soak in, give the decal a chance to kind of soften, nuzzle, kind of get itself down into all the little nooks and crannies here. Got this big drop here. I'm going to try and move that around to the side here. Same idea though. Don't touch the decal directly with the brush. Instead, kind of push the fluid, the Decals up against the decal. Here we go. And then it'll flow underneath on its own. So, there. Whereas the other decal, you can take some of this excess and just kind of move it over carefully and put it on top of the other decal. Kind of just go over it, kind of help seal it in just a little more. There we go. And again, at this point, again, hands off, leave it alone. Don't do anything else. And give that a chance to set up. And again, if you got excess, again, you can take, do have a lot here. So take the brush, just dab that in the excess fluid, just take it up. Stuff will eventually evaporate, but it does take a couple minutes. Just kind of just spread it around. Okay, so again, at this point, hands off. Just leave it alone. Put the brush down. Here, make sure the cap is on the Decals. And again, leave it alone. So we'll take another break. Be right back. Alrighty, we're back. Gave the decal setting solution a chance to dry. Let's take a closer look here. Overall, looks good. Well, we'll be honest, looking at closer, I realized I did get the numbers slightly out of alignment. Not sure there. So move the camera in. There we go. And okay, you can see right there that 5, the last 3 digits, slightly out of alignment with the rest of those, like slightly a little high. Now, I could go back and just scrape all that off, start over, but right now my thing is, just leave it alone. Running around a layout, it's not going to be that noticeable, and like I said, right now, just be some extra work. It's good enough. But I'll be, when I do the other side of the car, I'll be, be careful with that. But like I said, just, regular, running around the layouts, probably it'll be fine. Okay, but what I'm going to do here, looking at closer, the numbers does straddle a seam here on the side of the car body and a couple of rivets, things, some rivet details. And while it has snuggled down real good, I can see there may be just a little bit of an air bubble, air pocket right underneath there. A couple ways to fix that. We can do, take a knife and just get in there real close and just kind of poke at it with the pointy end of the knife, like that. Or here, something might be better. Got this little, straight pin here, like that. Just use that. The idea is just kind of, if you see a little place where maybe the decal didn't snuggle down very well, just get in here real quick, carefully, and just poke at it. Just want to poke a little tiny hole on it, like that. And just poke down. Don't have to scratch or anything. Okay, and then grab the Decals again. Grab your brush using. Open it back up. Again, just get a little brush full. It doesn't have to be a big drop or anything. And then just go back and dab it on top of the little bubble, a little high spot. In this case, I want to come back anyway. I just put a little more decal solution around the edges. I can see where some of the edges haven't snuggled down yet. And like I leave a little hole in there. The decal solution should be able to soak in through the hole and get in there and push the air out, and they'll soften the decal material and let it flatten out, and therefore come out looking real good. So, and put the lid back on, put that aside, grab a paper towel and just wipe this off. There you go. Now again, at this point, just let it dry. Go ahead and do some more decal. I want to put decals, here on the other side. I'll probably just do that off camera, do them so. And the most freight cars will also have some sort of reporting marks here on the end, and they did, with these kits, did provide some material here. Not sure you can see that, but that little long strip right there is some more decals, in this case in white. I mean, the other decals are black, these will be in white, so they contrast with the color of the end of the car body. And because they're going to be a lot smaller, they're going to even be fuzzier. So, like I said, I'll just do that kind of off camera. But the next thing to do, give this stuff a chance to set up, to dry, and then going to go back and spray some sort of a dull coat, dull finish on it to help the decal seal in the decals and kind of even out the the, the coloring here on the side of the car. Kind of, looks nice, but I would do prefer something that isn't quite so shiny. But again, some sort of dull lacquer spray will fix that. And we'll do that next. Okay. Okay, if you had noticed, we actually have moved outside now. I'm going to do this next segment, like I said, outside for basic ventilation. What I'm going to do now, I got, see there in this box lid. The lid came off of a file box. I like using these lids for trays and stuff, real handy for that. Got the two car bodies here, the orange and the yellow. And what I'm going to do now to kind of finish the decaling, got this can here of clear matte spray, like that. And use that to spray a coating of this, of the matte on there, on these car bodies, both to seal, seal the decals and kind of dull down the finish a little bit. And of course, doing that will help hide any of the decal film that can still be seen around, around the numbers right there. So do that. And it's really easy. Just give this a good shake. There you go. Part of the background noise is that noise are out here and they'll realize. We'll see how it does. Got a bird in the background serenading us. All right, just kind of give this a little shake, few seconds. There you go. It should be good enough. Just take that off. Then what I'm going to do here, kind of just line these up. Just give them a light spray, kind of like that. Just real light. Just a little bit at a time. There you go. Don't need a lot. Just a little more. Okay. I'm just going to turn these around. Do the same thing the other side. There we go. Just go hold the can back about a foot. Like I said, just a light spray. You don't want to try and put on too heavy at one time. Just one more. Okay. Put that can away. So you move the lens in closer. There you go. Do like that. Not sure how well it shows up on the lens now, but the idea is, like I said, sprayed this matte finish on there. Helps seal the decals, help hide the decal film. And again, just kind of give the whole car body just a little more of a matte finish. Give this chance to dry, and they'll always go ahead and finish assembling the cars. And I could go back and add some weathering, and that matte finish will help with that. But at the same time, as far as doing the deconking, we're basically done. I said, just let that dry, and we're ready to move on to the next stage. Like I said, putting the kit together. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that trip along the Marl Railroad line, where I got a chance to show you how you can apply decals to your own models, kind of like how we did here. To me, being apply decals is a useful skill. Allows you, like to do various things when building models. May, like I said earlier, need to change the number on something, or apply a number in this case. Or like I said, maybe you got, like I said, a locomotive needs to have its, road name put on it, and of course, locomotive number applied. And like I said, also do, helpful skill, need to put, a sign or lettering on a building, things like that. So again, urge you, go out, give it a try and see how you do, kind of develop that skill. Again, a special thank you to you all. Been watching these programs, been getting a lot of good feedback about them. Definitely, encourages me to keep working at it. It can be a little work at times, and of course with my sort of weird work schedule, don't always have the time to work on this stuff, but do it when I can. And like I said, kind of enjoy doing it, enjoy sharing the hobby. So And so with that, you know the routine, like, subscribe, all that, leave little comments down below. And in the meantime, stay tuned, and we'll climb aboard, take another trip along the Morrow Road line. And in the meantime, you go out and have some fun in your own trains, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.